Hi Virgos, welcome to your March 2019 Astrology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us, which is normally 10 cards, but you guys got some extra cards that came out there. Then we look at two Oracle decks at the end as well, and you guys got a couple extra cards from one of those Oracle decks, and then we also have a mudra card to look at the end, so there's quite a bit to get through. So we'll get started with the main spread, going through one by one. And in the main situation, you guys have the Fool card. So to me, what this represents is obviously a new start of some kind, but if I look at what this could represent energetically, there's going to be around the time of the new moon in Pisces, which is your opposite sign, you're actually going to have Uranus move back into your 9th house. It was there for a little bit last year, now it's back in there to stay. So that could be part of what's going on. And then also, you're going to have Venus in your 6th house, which is Aquarius, and you guys are the natural rulers of the 6th house. So that's going to be quite a bit of a boost of energy in that regard too, even though you wouldn't normally think so, right? You would think, okay, Aquarian energy, Virgo energy don't really, seem like there'd be a clear connection there. But again, that's your 6th house, and you guys are very comfortable with 6th house energy. So having Venus there should help you out. And then you also have Mars in your 9th house. There's a lot of activity in the other Earth signs. And without any of those planets directly on you, it could feel like more of a supportive energy than a stressful one. So that's the main vibe that I'm getting there. Just all the energy going on in the Earth signs, and then also having your opposite sign lit up, and then your 6th house also lit up as well. Could just really have you ready to leap forward in some way, shape, or form. Or at least the energy may be pushing you in that direction, let's say it that way. Because in the Challenger obstacle position, you guys got the 10 of Pentacles. So to me, with this in the Challenger obstacle position, it's speaking directly to the main situation, which is the Fool. Very opposite energies. So to me, what this is saying is, maybe it's a Challenger obstacle because you're starting something completely new, whereas you might have already had a stable foundation built in some area of life. So, just to give a practical example, maybe you've had great corporate success, right? And you decide, okay, yeah, I've gone pretty far in this field, but am I necessarily fulfilled? I don't know. So maybe you decide to just go on a totally new path out of the blue, right? The reason I say that too is when I look at the 10 of Pentacles card, it depends on the situation, but I could read it a couple different ways. One, and probably the more popular interpretation of this card is this is a family, right? So these are the generations. Like this would be the grandfather, one of them would be the grandchildren, one of them would be his child, and then the grandchild there. So, this represents family, legacy, stability in that regard when it comes to family. But another way I see it as well, depending on the situation, is it could also be viewed as a cautionary thing, as far as this guy kind of looks like the hermit to me. Just really the hair color just looks like an older man, but it definitely has some similarities to the guy in the Hermit card. And I think of this as maybe someone looking back on their own life, right? And maybe they achieved all kinds of success in the financial realm. And, maybe they decided to forego a love life, for example. And, they get to that point where they have all the material success, but they're looking back on it like, well, was that really the right move for me? What would have happened? This is like a what if they see in that couple there. Like, what if I'd pursued love and had a family? So seeing those two cards together, that could be what you guys are faced with. It's like you have that stability. Maybe you felt like this was something that you definitely were going to look at for your life. Maybe it was just how you were raised, for example. Oh, this is the image of success. Oh, you have to excel in your career, get to a certain point, and that's how you measure success, right? And maybe with Jupiter in your 4th house, which could represent your home and family, the beliefs that you've grown up with, and the way it was, having some tense aspects with Neptune previously, which is in your 7th house, maybe that's had you reevaluating those things. And then not to mention, it also had some, Neptune. There's also been some tense aspects with excuse me, with the fifth house, I should say, with Capricorn, you had Saturn and Pluto get squared by Mars, which was in your eighth house. So that could be another area where you look at, your inner belief systems as well, and you might have really been looking at them and saying, well, do these still work for me? So it could be you totally gotten to a good point in your career or whatever the case may be, but now you're questioning, well, am I fulfilled in that regard, right? So, probably it doesn't have to be that deep for most of you, but that's really the kind of the vibe that I'm getting there with those two cards. And then in the foundation position, we have the Queen of Pentacles and we have the Six of Cups. So when I looked at these cards initially, my first thought was, okay, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign. This could totally be someone from your past coming back, right? Like we said, there's a lot of energy in your fifth house, and then Mars is actually in your ninth house, and it's going to be making some harmonious aspects with the energies in your fifth house. And combine that with Mercury retrograde in the seventh, it's totally possible that someone that maybe had a long-standing, pretty stable relationship with is coming back around. This is a Capricorn court card for me. But then when I started to look at it more, I really started to see this as a juxtaposition between that Fool energy and the Ten of Pentacles. To me, this is very much looking more like a old versus the new, so you have the old here with the Fool representing the new. So I think of this again as something that you've built over a long time, right? Maybe it's just something that you had in mind. Maybe this was a goal that you had set for yourself from a very young age, possibly. Now you're like, okay, well, is this still the right thing for me? For some of you, you could be, on the flip side, you could be going back to something from your past that you feel makes you happy. You could be reconnecting in that regard. You guys have the South Node in your fifth house now, so this could be some kind of creative project, for example, maybe something that you hadn't looked at for a long time. Now with the South Node traveling back through that house, it could be hidden talents that you more or less forgotten about or let fall by the wayside because you were shifting your focus to other areas that you're getting back in touch with. And maybe that's what you're thinking about, hey, should I pick this up and take this more seriously now? So that's how I'm really viewing these two energies. It's very much, the old versus new. So hopefully that resonates with some of you. But yeah, for others of you, it could totally just be a relationship thing where someone from the past is coming back around. The astrology certainly supports that being a possibility, but getting more of a vibe that it's bigger than just that for a lot of you. All right, in the past position, we have the Nine of Wands and the Two of Wands. So to me, with this in the past position, to me this shows a reluctance, feeling a little bit gun shy to go out and start something new. So again, it looks like a repeating theme here too. That desire to start something new, but really questioning, I don't know, should I stay with the tried and true, right? I've had pretty good success with that up to this point. Or should I really just, throw some of those things aside that no longer serve me, right? If we look there, he has 9 wands, here he has 2. Should I just shed some of these things that no longer serve me in my life and just look out on the horizon for new opportunities? So that's what I view, that you've really been looking this over in the past. And it wouldn't surprise me either as far as you guys had, well, I'm recording this actually technically before the full moon in Virgo. But if you're watching this in March, we would say that, all right, that full moon in Virgo would have already passed. And yeah, for some of you, maybe you could say that be your first house, right? But it's at 0 degrees Virgo. So for a lot of you, that could still be your 12th house full moon too. So that could really just have you looking inward and trying to decide, okay, how do I want to move forward next? So it might take until that next full moon that technically would really fall in some of your first houses. And even if not, you guys had that final eclipse in Leo as well, which definitely could have fallen in your 12th house. So that could be what this energy is pointing to there. All right, in the present position, we have the 7 of Cups. So to me, again, this represents that same thing. To me, it's just like there's this confusion that you have right now regarding what path do you want to pursue. Um, and especially with Mercury going retrograde in your opposite sign, totally reasonable if that's how you're feeling. And then not to mention the fact that the new moon in Pisces, also in your opposite sign, is going to be conjunct Neptune. So this is very much Neptunian energy right here anyway. So that's really what I'm seeing this card as representing. You're not necessarily seeing things as clearly as you would like to right now. The way I always describe this card is, looking at it from our eyes, right? We see those cups very clearly, but if we look at this person, they're in the dark, so they might not know what they're looking at. Whereas, so to us, it might seem clear as day. We could easily decide, well, should you even grab any of those cups or no? Whereas for them, they might not know what they're looking at exactly. So, there could definitely be some fog going on there with the astrology aspects we just mentioned. And, that's the case. That should start to subside as the month moves along. So I don't think that's an energy that you'll be stuck in for too long. But if it is an energy that you're in, totally makes sense. And, it's normal given what's going on astrologically. All right, in the near future position, you have the Six of Wands. So to me, this represents a victory of some kind, but it doesn't have to be anything huge. It could just be, like the way I describe it to some people, this is actually, for me, a double Leo energy. It represents the sun in Leo. So to me, I think of that as, think about when your birthday comes around, right? Everyone's wishing you happy birthday, congratulating you, maybe they go out with you, right? But it's nothing that's like huge long term. It's just, hey, it's your birthday. It's not like you accomplished anything amazing. It's just that you're getting some kind of recognition. So it doesn't necessarily have to be any long-lived major thing. But to me, this shows that there's definitely some kind of energy. And this could even be you just feeling victorious over yourself, especially if you've been having an inner battle, as far as, okay, which way do I want to go, right? And maybe once you finally get out of that Neptunian type fog and make a decision, that might be how you end up feeling. Like, oh, okay, finally, I decided which way I want to go. I'm moving forward. I feel good about my decision, right? Because that's how you can be a lot of times as Virgos. You really think something over. Like your third house of communication is ruled by Scorpio. So, you guys are definitely the deep researchers. You might do it in private as well, as opposed to, you think about Gemini, that's also ruled by Mercury. Their communication house is ruled by the sun. So it's definitely more out there. So, this could just be something that you've been mulling over for a long time. And maybe as we move along in the month, you might finally feel comfortable making that decision. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Page of Swords. So again, to me, this shows that even if you have made some kind of decision on which way to move forward, it still shows to me that you're a little reluctant. Like I say with the Page cards, to me, they always represent that 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy. Like you could see it quite literally with their stance, right? They're holding the sword, but doesn't like the most confident stance. They might not feel too comfortable with it. As opposed to, let's say, the kings and queens, they seem to have a very firm grasp over it. They seem comfortable. They're settled, right? This person looks like, not so much. Like it's something that's kind of new to them. It's like foreign territory. So maybe this is saying if you're putting yourself out there in some way, maybe you're feeling a little unsure of yourself. And I was saying, I did a reading for someone a few months back, and I was looking at these trees here, and it almost reminded me of the Facebook F. So that could even be what it is too. Maybe there's something you want to put out there on social media, let's say, and you're like really shy about it. Like, oh, I don't know if I should put myself out there like that, right? So this could be the energy that you're in right now. In the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we have the Eight of Wands. So, when I look at this with that Six of Wands, rather, looking at these two cards together, what this could say to me is maybe you do put yourself out there, even if you are feeling a little bit shy, whatever the case may be. You put yourself out there in some way, and you're actually well received. That's the recognition, and then the Eight of Wands represents a lot of communication coming to you, right? So maybe, like I said, you might have had a corporate job for X amount of years and you're finding it's unfulfilling, and maybe you have some other talent that you let fall by the wayside because, you just had those fourth house beliefs from growing up early. Okay, this is what I need to be successful. So you kind of let it fall away. Didn't pay much attention to it. And now maybe for whatever reason that's coming back up for you. You finally put it out there. So for some of you, let's say you're a singer, right? Maybe you put a song out, or your poetry, or some of you, maybe you start a YouTube channel, you name it. There's a list of different ways it could play out, and maybe you're like really shy about how it's going to be received. Like, oh, I don't know if this is the right move, right? And then it turns out, oh, okay, you actually get a lot of recognition for it, a lot of praise. People are like, oh, this is really cool, this is awesome, things along those lines. So that could be what this energy is representing there. That's the main vibe that I'm getting. But again, going back to the astrology aspects as well, this could just be referring to Mercury being retrograde in your opposite sign. That could have a lot of communications coming in back and forth. So that could play out either way there. But for a lot of you, I'm really getting that vibe that there's something that you've been working on and maybe really mulling over. Do I want to put it out? Do I not want to put it out? Maybe you finally do. And especially because now I think about it too, talking about the past position, maybe this is saying this was the energy you were in, reluctant to put something out. But then when the sun shifts into Aries, let's say towards the end of the month, maybe that's what this is pointing to there, because this is the first 10 degrees of Aries. So, maybe as the month moves along, you finally put something out there. I mean, especially if we're talking about the online angle too, because to me, this all sometimes represents putting something out on the web, right? The guy has the globe in his hand there. So that could definitely be what that's pointing to. You put something out there on the internet for consumption and you're like really worried about it. Was this the right thing to do or not? And it ends up actually being pretty successful. In the hopes or fears position, you guys got the Eight of Pentacles. This is one of your cards, just like the Ten of Pentacles, but this is the first 10 degrees of Virgo. And I actually got a funny vibe with this. The thing that I got from this card was almost like a hope and a fear. What I mean by that is, it's like you're hoping to have more time to work on whatever this is, right? Like being a perfectionist, basically. You're like, oh, I just want to work on it a little bit more. So you're like hoping to do that, and you're fearing putting it out too soon, basically. So I actually saw that this card as a 2-in-1, which is kind of rare. It's like, okay, I really, really want to put this out, but I don't know. I just want a little more time to work on it, right? One of those things. And that could be what this energy is about too. Like, all right, I'm almost ready, but not quite. And I see that energy again popping up here too in the outcome. You guys got the Eight of Swords. So what I would say is, if that's really how you're feeling, like, oh, I just need a little more time, right? I won't fight with you too much on that. As far as, like I said, the astrology would say, okay, yeah, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign. That new moon conjunct Neptune might not have you seeing things too clearly. But I would say at the same time, if that's really what you insist upon, that I'm not going to do this right now, don't scrap it all together. All right. So what I mean by that is, okay, compromise with yourself, basically. Say, okay, I'm not going to do it now, but let's say early April, put it out there. Don't talk yourself out of something, because all the energies here looks like it's going to pan out for you in a positive way. But if you really just, really feel like, oh, I can't do it right now, I need to work on it a little bit more, just make sure you don't scrap it all together. Don't talk yourself down from doing it all together. If you want to say you want to wait till the astrology is more supportive, that's fine. But I will say, even with the Mercury retrograde in the opposite sign, you're going to have Mars in your 9th house all of March, and then it's going to move on in April. And so you have Mars there. Uranus, as I said, is going to be there for the long haul, 7 or 8 years or so. And Saturn and Pluto in your 5th house. There's a lot going on for you in the other Earth signs that would be pretty supportive as well. And those are more heavy hitters than what you have going on in Pisces. So something to think of there as far as the two energies. All right. We'll take a look at the Oracle cards next, since you guys got a lot So the first one you guys got was Happy Happy. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 26, in case that number resonates with you in some way. Read that first. Okay, it says essential meanings. Joy and contentment, a sense of fulfillment, of feeling that all is well. The Oracle's message, your desires are effortlessly fulfilled now. Find joy in the present moment, whatever is happening, and be satisfied with things as they are. You're free from the shackles of longing and able to experience the liberation that comes from actually being happy moment to moment, for you have chosen happiness over yearning for it. Now is the time for feeling joy for the sake of joy and experiencing contentment. None of this is because of something outside yourself. Your happiness is a result of your being at one with Spirit's plan for your life. All is well. The tide is in for now, and joy playfully splashing in it. So, to me, that just looks like, especially the Ten of Cups also at the bottom of the deck, that's a very jovial energy. It could just be referring to the last 10 degrees of Pisces also, but for it being an overall theme, and then the Six of Wands here too, it could just be saying the Fool energy. Looks like there's a few energies in this spread telling you to just be loose, have a little bit of fun. Alright, the relationship message says there are moments in a relationship when you just feel good about whom you're with, and you know that your heart is wide open to befriend, to love, and to care for another without wanting anything in return. This is the kind of happy that you just want to share. The appearance of this card in a reading tells you that joy and contentment are here now, not somewhere else or off in the future. The grass is greenest right where you stand. Be grateful and delight in your relationship. And if you're seeking one, be happy now. Happiness attracts more of it. Happiness attracts more of itself, like bees to honey. So this could be what that energy is too. Just saying put yourself out there, right? Maybe by putting yourself out there, and who knows, maybe that's what all of this is for you, right? Maybe that tradition with the Ten of Pentacles versus the Fool, maybe for some of you it's putting yourself out on a dating website, right? Like, oh no, I can't ever do that. I would never do that. It has to be the traditional way, right? So maybe that's what this is about. Maybe for some of you, you put yourself out there on a dating site and you're like mortified, right? Maybe that's what the Nine of Wands and the Two of Wands energy is about. It's like, oh my God, maybe your friends talk to you into it, right? And you're like really worried, and then all of a sudden you get all these options. You're like, oh, I don't know what's going on, right? The Eight of Wands. You might feel a little overwhelmed, but it's just saying, just try to be yourself, be happy, and it should attract more of that toward you. All right, the prosperity message says this is a time to take pride in your accomplishments. You're doing good work, providing exceptional service, and are well compensated for it. The world rains gratitude upon you, and you're happy with the results of your efforts and creativity. Isn't it amazing to consider all that you have done? Remember your partnership with Spirit in this moment too. Your soul has always known you could accomplish anything if it brought you joy. So your soul has always known you could accomplish anything if it brought you joy. Maybe that's what these two cards are pointing to as well. And also that Queen of Pentacles with the Six of Cups underneath, saying that, if you pursue something that brings you joy, you'll have that stability that you long for anyway. It doesn't have to be the way that you might have thought that it needed to be, right? You could follow that untraditional path and still achieve that same level of happiness. All right, and like I said, you guys got 3 oracle cards from the other deck, and that's the Spirit Animal Oracle, so we'll see what they have to say. The first one you got was Chameleon Spirit. That says, act as if. Here's the artwork for it, and the number for that is 14. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, it says, Chameleon Spirit shares her gift with you today to prepare you for changes that will greatly benefit you. Outer conditions are changing, and you're required to come into harmony with them so you can co-create your greatest dream. Feeling sensitive? Good, because that will come in handy, enabling you to determine how best to adapt to your environment and the people in it, while at the same time maintaining your integrity and inner equilibrium. Even if you feel like you're in uncharted territory, Chameleon Spirit has complete faith in your ability to fit in and learn the lay of the land, adapting as necessary. This is a fortunate time to act as if and do as others do until the new day feels familiar and completely natural. Life is offering you a great lesson now. Adapting isn't about losing yourself, it's about learning how to dance with others. So again, that last sentence especially just reminded me of what I was saying, that, it looks like the energies are telling you to put yourself out there in some way. And it looks like it would work out in your favor if you did, at least according to this card. We'll take a look at what the next one has to say. So the next one you guys got was Sandpiper Spirit, and it says be playful. So already looks like it's a supportive energy for that as well. Here's the artwork for it. And the number for this one is 51. So we'll see what this says. Alright, it says sandpipers are like cute little clowns, poking their beaks into the sand before darting off to chase the waves. The appearance of Sandpiper Spirit is a sign that now is a time to engage your playfulness. Whatever task you have before you, perform them with the lightness of being. Explore the familiar, discovering the new and the old. Who knows what treasures await you when you let yourself laugh and have fun. Sandpiper Spirit's happy and curious nature can help you to feel rejuvenated as you remember your ability to run and fly and dance playfully. So again, another energy saying to put yourself out there, and just have a little fun. But like I said, with that Eight of Swords in the outcome position, whatever the case may be, just if you are going to put it off, you insist on putting it off, just make sure it's temporary, not permanent. Say, okay, I can't do it this month. Do it as soon as you can after that. All right, and then the last one we got is Parrot Spirit. It says, watch your words. There's the actual artwork for it, and the number for that is 45. All right. I don't think I've ever gotten this one before. It says, what are you saying to yourself? What message are you repeating? Is it something that makes you feel good about yourself and reminds you of your strengths and potential? Parrots mimic the sounds around them, and when Parrot Spirit appears, it is time to be more mindful of your self-talk and its qualities. What do you say to others? Are you repeating what you truly believe? Remembering to speak with light and love can become a habit. Be generous with compliments and thanks, affirming all that is good so that your loving, healing words will be heard throughout the jungle, cutting through the noise and inspiring others. Listen for the words that remind you of all the strength, abundance, and joy in your life and in the world around you, and then repeat them, affirming what is real, true, and nurturing to the soul. The universe will reflect back to you the story you tell. Words matter, so choose ones that lift you up and inspire others to remember that beauty surrounds us. So, no better time to get a message saying to be careful with your words than during Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign. Especially if you guys are in relationships too, to help avoid conflict in that regard. But all the energies seem to be somewhat supportive of the main thing here, which is saying, putting yourself out in some way will get you some kind of success, but it could just be, maybe easier said than done for some of you in your hearts, right? As far as, well, this is just a belief I've had for so long, and yeah, maybe you feel this other thing bubbling beneath the surface, but it's just really hard to come to terms with the two, right? All right, and then the last thing we have for you is a mudra card. So for those of you who didn't see it the past couple of months, what I've been doing was pulling a mudra card for all the signs. And basically what a mudra is it's a gesture or a pose that you would do with your hands. Usually you do it while meditating. Could be for 5 minutes. Some say up to 45 minutes. If you're not used to meditating, 5 might even seem like a bit of a long time, but At least to start off, 5 minutes would be good. And what their purpose is basically is to help clear up blockages for you. So it could be a physical in some cases, sometimes a mental, emotional blockage. And the key word for this one is wisdom. And it's the Jnana mudra. And this is the gesture itself that you would actually make while meditating. And then I'll just flip it to the other side of the card so you could see the messages on it. If you want to pause your video or actually take a screenshot. Alright, I see not all of it fits, so I'll just move it up so you can see the rest too. So yeah, as you can see, it says for benefits, evokes the feelings of lightness, calms the mind and brightens the spirit, opens the chest and facilitates diaphragmatic breathing, reverses the outward flow of prana and directs energy back toward the body, increases the benefits of any asana. So, like I said, if this sounds like something you think would benefit you, what I'll do is I'll actually put this in the description as well in case you wanted to do a Google search on it, or maybe even see if they have videos about it on YouTube if that's something you'd be interested in. But we'll wrap up there, guys. I'm not going to be doing personal readings for the next couple weeks, but for those of you who do watch this actually in March, I should be doing them again by then, so you could check out the About section of the channel for more info on that. You could also follow my Instagram page where we have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology there. But aside from that, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.